The first attack on Iga Province was launched not by Oda Nobunaga, but by his second son, Oda Nobukatsu. Now, Nobunaga was a pretty great dad. As a gift, he gave his son control of Ise Province. Compare that to my dad, whose only Christmas gift to me every year is that he's still alive. Nobunaga also sent 2 generals to watch over Junior. They were the boy's guardians as he grew up, and they helped him with ruling and stuff. They were Takegawa Kazumasa and Tsuge Saburo Zaimon. The Iga Confederacy were friends of the Koga Confederacy. When Nobunaga destroyed Koga and subdued Omi Province, things didn't look good for Iga. After washing their soiled pants, the warriors of Iga prepared for an invasion of their homeland. For some background, back in 1571, Nobunaga had appointed a governor to Iga Province, someone named Nikki Yoshimi. This was even before he crushed Koga. The Iga Confederacy did not complain at the time because they had just been beaten to a pulp by Nobunaga and weren't ready for another ass-whipping. However, Nikki Yoshimi's control over Iga Province was like my control over my pants whenever I see a picture of Scarlett Johansson. That is to say, minimal. And in 1577, Iga finally said to Yoshimi, "We don't think you get it. We want independence, and there's no you in independence." Then they overthrew the Nikki clan. This was all well and good for Iga. Problem was, the Iga Confederacy was only a loose alliance, so you'll get differences of opinion among its members. In 1578, some doofus from Iga turned traitor and came to Oda Nobukatsu, whining that the people of Iga were out of control. They were doing outrageous things like kicking out the Nikki and living in luxurious excess. This sounded a lot like freedom, and that's unacceptable. Nobukatsu inherited his father's ambition. He made a public statement. "How dare you hippies live in decadence without rules of decency? This ain't Los Angeles." He ordered Takegawa Kazumasa to restore an old castle on a hill called Maruyama, located in the heart of Iga Province. It would be Nobukatsu's base of operations for the coming Iga campaign. Turned out, it would be Nobukatsu's base of taking it up the butt, because the Iga Confederacy got wind of this plan. You see, part of Iga's preparation against invasion was to turn their spy network on the Oda clan. They knew Kazumasa was rebuilding this castle in the middle of the province. This is where we get a taste of these hardcore Iga warriors, and they taste exquisite. They rallied an army and did a surprise daytime attack on the castle before it was completed. Kazumasa tried at first to defend, but soon said, screw this, and abandoned the castle, taking his men to a nearby village, the Village of Doom. The hidden Iga warriors fell upon his men. There were no safe spaces here. The Iga men fought like demons. There was one report, you know how a lizard can lose its tail and grow it back? Well, this had nothing to do with that. But one Iga warrior reportedly lost his arm in battle and still continued to fight. This reminds me of a similar sacrifice. I was doing research for this video and suffered a paper cut. It hurt, but I pushed through and continued to read. See the sacrifices I make for you. What I'm saying is, please consider supporting me on Patreon so I can pay for the medical bills. Papercut-itis, I believe they call it. For Kazumasa and his men, it became the worst hide-and-seek game ever. They would run into a forest, and the Iga troops would find them. They would run into the mountains, and the Iga troops would find them. Eventually, Kazumasa escaped into the safety of Ise Province. The Iga leaders were pissed. They didn't get to kill him. When Kazumasa got back, tail firmly tucked between legs, Nobukatsu was as furious as an entitled son living in his father's shadow could be. Remember, his father was Oda Nobunaga. Nobukatsu had a chip on his shoulder. He had to prove his worth to his father. And these country samurai were ruining everything. Nobukatsu wanted a second attack immediately, but his advisors said, "Hold your hatsu, Nobukatsu." It was good advice. Iga had excellent natural defenses. It was surrounded by mountains. Invaders would have to route their armies through mountain passes that everyone in Iga knew about, and their knowledge of the terrain gave them a huge advantage over Nobukatsu. No, this campaign needed planning, so Nobukatsu swallowed his rage, looked up what planning meant, and prepared for an invasion the following year, 1579. The plan was to enter Iga via 3 paths through the mountains. Nobukatsu led the main force through Nagano Pass. 2 smaller forces went through Onikobu Pass and Aoyama Pass. Tsuge Saburo Zaimon led the Onikobu crew, and the Aoyama crew was led by some dude. Luckily for the Iga, their spy network had great reception. They knew about the incoming invasion and prepared. Nobukatsu and company were strolling through the mountains when the Iga warriors welcomed them with spears and arrows. Mayhem spread through Nobukatsu's ranks and his troops ran every which way. Bodies littered the mountain pass. The Iga's guerrilla tactics confused and terrified Nobukatsu's men. The Iga led the invaders into another trap, rice fields. It ain't easy running through mud. The Iga encircled the slow-moving enemy force and had their way with them. Nobukatsu had brought 8,000 men with him through the mountains. A few thousand of those were either killed or committed suicide that day. Nobukatsu retreated with the rest. The other two armies met the same fate, but poor Suge Saburo Zaemon couldn't retreat in time. A few hundred Iga spearmen surrounded him and proceeded to make a Saburo Zaemon Swiss cheese, the worst kind of Swiss cheese. Nobukatsu was actually a pretty good warrior, but a good strategist he was not. In trying to prove himself, he lost thousands of men and lost a good general, a guardian given to him by his father. When Nobunaga learned of what happened, he was actually not that mad. Just kidding, he went bonkers. He was not gonna take it anymore and threatened to disown his son. Nobukatsu did not seek his father's counsel before starting the campaign. Nobunaga wrote a letter to his son which read, basically, "What the? You did what? How could you? Are you mental? This is unbelievable. And you sent the general I gave you to his death? Son of a bitch!" After the victory, the Iga Confederacy was feeling pretty good and actually conducted a raid outside of Iga Province. But we all know, if you keep poking the Demon King, eventually the Demon King pokes back. Hey, don't forget to like and comment, guys. Let me know that you liked the video. I want to thank a new patron this week, Fabian Wang. Nice mix of German and Chinese. Alright, much love, guys. Now get out there and spread the knowledge.